Hey, you did it. You got to the mat. Well done. I'm glad you did. We're going to begin seated, so I recommend getting something that gives you a little or a lot of support, enough to be upright so that the knees are not higher than the hips, and it should just feel comfortable. We're going to be moving, so you don't want to feel like you're going to rock right off of whatever your support is, which is why I'm not using my bigger bolster. But you could even do this portion seated on an ottoman or in a chair or something. So if being in this position is uncomfortable, please adjust. You could even have your legs out in a straddle. We're going to be starting with a sufi grind. And so we're going to first start circling our ribs counterclockwise. So if you're forward, you then go left with the ribs, then back, and then to the right. And as you're ready, close your eyes. Find a root and rise through the spine around which you're circling. So the intention is that the head is just floating easily above the lower movements of the rib cage and spine. And you might be doing this slower or more rapidly as you go. And we want to now bring breath of awareness to it. So begin watching the breath, inhaling, finding the gap, exhaling. We'll do a few more this direction. I like to think of this as an unwinding. So if there's any energy, thought forms, patterns that you're wanting to release, being intentional while you make this counterclockwise movement. And you can also add the ujjayi breath. The next time you're forward in your circle, pause. Big inhale. Exhale, begin the opposite direction. Ribs to the right, back, left, and forward. Is this direction different? What do you notice in your spine, or perhaps the deep connections down towards the pelvis and hip bones? I like to think of this as the building sequence or intention setting sequence. So if there's any particular intention you have currently in your life, or just an energy that you're wanting to focus on or gather, you might picture that word across the screen of your mind's eye. Breathing, inhaling gap, exhaling gap. A couple more. And the next time you are forward, pause, inhale, and now exhale. Please take your rib cage back, and then inhaling forward. So this is like a seated cow-cat pose, and we're not trying to hinge and swing forward and back, but we're exploring the range of our spine and rib cage and the ability of the shoulder heads to move and shift position. So it's a wonderful moment to notice how fluid are you today, and that can also help inform your practice as I'm offering dog series and warrior series in this practice. And you might want to adjust to versions of the postures that are easier, a little less intense. Last round here. And then hopping off of your object of support and moving it to the side. We'll want it again at the end of our practice. Please come down to your preparation for bridge. Back body, feet directly beneath the knees. Long inhale. Shoulder heads working towards each other beneath us. Exhaling, rise the hips to bridge pose. Pause and join me in leg extensions. Slowly releasing one leg and extending it. The thighs remain the same height. We're just straightening and bending the knee. Exploring the other side. Trying not to use the neck to compensate. It can be difficult. You might raise your arms straight up to the sky. Some find that helpful for relaxing the neck here. And slowly releasing, knees to belly. We're going to explore robot pose to really get our core woken up. And I'm going to start with just the lower half of the body, as it can be difficult if you've never done it to jump in with all four limbs. So currently I want to power down through my core like I'm pressing something between my low back and the mat. And I'm going to flex the feet, and I'm going to slowly take the knees until they're about above the hips, that 90-degree angle of the hip, 90 degrees at the knee. If you'd like to use the arms but just hold them in the neutral position, that's also a nice version. Gather a long inhale. Slow, deep, and wide. Exhale, root the low back and slowly hinge one hip, taking the heel towards the floor. It might lightly touch down or never get there. Knee stays bent. And we come back to neutral. Big inhale. Exhale, root, and slowly take the other heel on its journey. Knee is staying frozen at that 90 degree, and we're just hinging and unhinging at the hip. And return to neutral. Let's do that again. Your breath, your timing. Inhaling neutral, exhaling one heel at a time. We're really interested in what's happening in that low and mid abdomen. We want that to be doing the work. If you notice that your neck is doing the work, try rolling that head side to side, or maybe just don't go as far with the heel. And in fact, I'm going to do one last round here and show you the option of just taking that leg a little bit on its journey and noticing the effort it takes to hold there. So instead of taking the heel all the way towards the floor, just a little bit and come back. Inhale, neutral. Exhale. A little bit and come back. Take a little break, knees to belly. We'll come back in briefly for just another couple of rounds, and I'll add the arms in case you want to explore that challenge. It's a little bit of a challenge to coordinate sometimes. That's why I call it discombobulated robot. Take a big inhale in neutral. Exhale, power down through your center body. And slowly take one heel and then opposite hand, reaching behind you, as if I want to touch the wall behind me with my middle finger. And then come back to neutral. Big inhale. Soft neck. Exhale, power down through the back body. Other heel and its opposite hand make their journey. Staying rooted. And come on back. Inhale, neutral. Again, don't go as far if you find you're losing integrity. Inhale, neutral. And exhaling. Last time. Knees to belly. And you might want to roll those ankles, point and flex. We ask a lot of them when they're at that deep flexed position. Spinal rocking now onto hands and knees, table pose. Like our hands about 10 to 12 inches from the front of the mat, something like that. Feeling the weight in the full palm, shoulder heads activate down. Inhaling, cow pose. Tilt the tailbone back, draw the heart forward. Asking of the breath, is there more? Exhaling, round the back into your cat back. It's as if you're trying to spread your shoulder blades away from one another. Last cow-cat. We're going to take it into downward facing dog, curling the toes under. Let your core that you just woke up in robot take you up and back. So it's very little effort in the shoulders and so on. Go ahead and make it organic here. Notice what distance feels good, hands to feet. You can play taking the feet out and so on. And one of my favorite things to play with to get a good chest and side body stretch is I'm going to bend my right knee and I'm going to rotate to look under my left armpit. And then I'm going to switch. I'm going to bend my left knee and I'm going to rotate to look under my right. Oh, if I kind of take my hips a little to the left here, it can feel good. If you've got any joint instability with shoulders and so on, I wouldn't be adding that exploration at this time. All right, hold in dog if you still can, otherwise settling into child's. Briefly, we're going to explore leg flying. Take that right leg flying, heel flexed. Make sure that as you do that, you're not losing any of your integrity in the torso, alignment, and core. Good. Let's switch. Left leg flying. Moving slowly in and out so we can observe the body and add breath if you lost it. And release to your child's pose. Take those knees wide, feet together, and settle on your forehead. You might need to stack fists if the floor feels too far away. Reconnecting with breath, seeking the gap. Remember, this is a fabulous pose, one of the best. And if you want to go here instead of doing everything I'm offering you today, I highly recommend it. As you are ready to move on, please tuck your tailbone and come on up with that core support. We're going to come into downward facing dog again. I challenge you, how much can you use your center body to lift you like a harness? Very little effort from the arms and shoulders comparatively. Inhaling to your plank. So as you flow forward to plank, think about creating similarly that kind of cat back, a little tailbone tuck, so you are really strong and supported. Maybe going to knees down for greater integrity and ease. Exhaling, chaturanga, elbows are in by the ribs. You might just go an inch or all the way down. On the floor, pelvis anchors for cobra. Inhaling, draw the heart forward. Is there more? Exhaling, press back, downward facing dog. Inhale, exhale, sigh. Good. We're going to come into pigeon pose. So I'm going to bring my right knee behind the right wrist. If your knees don't like this, then you'd be doing a reclined pigeon on your back body, crossing right ankle onto left thigh. Otherwise, right here, I'm going to just settle in on my forearms, move a little left to right. This is a great time to be kind of taking an inventory of what's happening in the body. It tells us a lot about how life is off of the mat, but also what we need to do in our practice. How much, how little, what angle. Are you able to lay your head down all the way, maybe resting on hands or all the way to the mat? If your head's on the mat and your hands are free, you might make a diamond shape with index fingers joining and thumbs. And sighing breath. Big inhale, exhaling through the mouth with a sigh, or if you feel just a lot of pent-up energy, you might do a nice, powerful release. Let's do that again. Last time. Inhaling, come on up. Take your time. Add any little organic movements that your body asks for. And to release, option to move your left knee forward and release the right leg, or to go to downward facing dog to do so. Either way, kind of kick it out, release the knee, maybe do a little hip rotation. And then we're going to bring the left knee behind the left wrist. Again, if we feel any discomfort in knee or low back, then we want to go to the reclined version. Slowly coming down towards forearms. This should feel good. It should feel like a massage, sort of intense, but that kind that you're like, yeah, welcoming it, getting in there. Again, notice what height or position of the head and torso allows you to really welcome the stretch. We're seeking the edge. If we go past the edge, our body's in protection. And if we're right at the edge, we can use our breath and awareness to move the tension through. Let's add 3 breaths, either sighing or exhaling with that big kind of whoosh of a breath. Inhaling through the nose. And drawing on up and finding any little angles here that feel good. Maybe it's releasing the right arm and reaching forward, or organic neck movements. And then releasing either onto your right knee or into downward dog to take that left leg and give it a break. Okay, we're going to be coming into warrior flow from downward facing dog. So as you're ready, rejoin me. Hips to the heavens. Find your comfort here. It's an active pose, I know, but we want to get all the right stuff strong so that we can breathe and feel safe and settled here. So rotate those shoulders open away from the head and ears. And remember, you never have to press the heels towards the floor or straighten the legs. Bring your feet fairly close together so that if you take your right leg flying to move forward into your crescent lunge, it's a little easier. Good. Pausing, you might open up that hip briefly, and slowly bringing that right foot forward. Pause, steer right hip bone forward, or left hip bone forward, excuse me, right hip bone back, and rise up with core strength. Either holding here in your crescent lunge, or if you prefer, flattening that back foot for warrior one. Where do your arms need to be today? One more long inhale, reaching the heart forward. Exhaling, open Virabhadrasana 2. Back foot is 90 degrees. And reminding you that Warrior Series should always be organic. We're not holding or frozen in a pose. We're letting breath move us, and we're also exploring both the muscles that are strengthening here and releasing. You might keep that back leg straight and front leg bent and reach up with that right arm, or straighten the right leg as you reach up. What feels better today? Stay long in that back or left rib cage. There's no collapse. We're not trying to reach the wall behind us. Exhaling, slowly flow forward, lateral stretch, elbow to thighs. Our starting point, you might want to go deeper to the floor with the hand or using a block. The key in this pose is keeping the pelvis pressing towards that left edge of the mat. If by going lower you lost that, come back up. And invitation to circle that top arm. Maybe you'd like to follow it with your vision and your rib cage. Try not to let your right knee move. It's still rotating outward away from the other thigh. Last one, and plant the hands, come to the ball of the back foot, and step back to your downward facing dog. Inhale, exhale, sigh. We're going to be here for a couple of breaths. So you might hold in dog, move to child's pose, or add another dog series flow in between. Inhaling to your plank, pause, asking, is there more? Exhaling, chaturanga, our chest precedes our hips, either settling for cobra or scooping for upward facing dog. Thigh bones moving towards the sky. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Inhale, exhale, sigh. Move that right foot a little more towards the center if you're sending left leg flying. It's a good hamstring stretch. Yeah. And you might bend the left knee and open up the left hip. Make sure to keep activating that right arm. There's no collapse here. And a slow journey rounding through your back to get that left foot forward. You can always grab the ankle and hike it. Right hip bone forward, left hip bone back. So we rise up strong. Again, either on the ball of the back foot or flattening for warrior one. Where do your arms want to be now? And on an inhale, raising the heart up. And exhaling, opening to your Virabhadrasana 2. Making any little adjustments that bring you a sense of integrity, strength and stability, but also fluidity. And on our next inhale, your option, back leg stays straight, keeping the front one bent, or if you'd like, straightening it. Always take the neck where it's in ease. On a long exhale, extending forward towards lateral stretch, elbow to thigh. Stacking that right shoulder. I'm rotating the thighs away from one another. If you want to explore lowering that left hand towards the mat on the side, see how that feels today. Again, go to the place where you can keep that left glute or hip pressing towards the right edge of the mat. If you see that your thigh bone is at an angle, you've lost your alignment. And reaching that right arm out beyond the head. Oh, breathe into what you found. And then as you're ready, joining me in circling that hand down and back and up, and perhaps following it with the ribs and the gaze. Nice Ujjayi. Last one, and planting the hands, step back, downward facing dog. Inhale, exhale, sigh. And resolving into your child's pose, take those knees wide, butt back towards the heels. So again, finding a place that is comfortable if you want to support the head. If your knees don't allow you to be comfortable here, please be in ragdoll or something instead. When you feel complete, if you'd like, close your practice once again seated, finding something for just enough support. You, of course, could close practice on your back or anywhere else that calls to you in this moment today. Finding your seat, sits bones rooting, crown rising, inviting you to bring your prayer hands, Anjali Mudra is the name of the hand position, and bringing it to your heart space with your thumbs intentionally pointing or pressing in to your chest. Inviting you to turn your attention in towards your own good heart. Does it have any message for you? Any particular request? Anything it wants you to know? Please thank yourself for getting to the mat for this practice. It was perfect, whatever it was. I'm very glad that you listened to your body. We'll see you again soon. Namaste.